Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious about what I wish I knew before I got pregnant. What I wish I knew before I got pregnant. So I did like a series of episodes with my husband about like what I wish I knew before I got married. Then I did one of what I wish I knew before I had kids. And then we kind of camped out a little bit on even the pregnancy piece. And he's like, you should do a whole episode on that. And then that one comment, when he said that, I'm getting a lot of DMs where they're like, Erin's right, do a whole episode. There's a lot. And I have some women who are like, I'm about to get pregnant and I want to know. I had some friends who are like, I'm currently pregnant. I still want to know. And so what I did was I was like, I'm going to bring in a fellow mom. We were pregnant together along the journey. We have since had 2 kids. And I just don't know of any other better person than someone who's currently in the trenches of motherhood. And you can't be too far away because then you start romanticizing it. Like pregnancy is kind of its own territory where you just kind of look back in like a fog about it. And if you go too far away, then everyone's going to romanticize it and be like, oh, it's lovely and you glow and it's beautiful. But if you're currently in it, you're like, I don't know about that. I don't think that's true. My guest is laughing. I don't think that's true. And so I needed someone also who we just have enough of, like, the scar hasn't healed. I'll put it that way. Both physically on your body and emotionally. And so please welcome one of my best friends, Tess.
Hello. Hi. Hi, Ave.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you're here because even when you came in, we were talking about like just guests and how they work and the different podcasts. And I was saying that my producer was saying that when he's editing, he can tell if a guest and I have good chemistry because like our mics go high.
Oh yeah, baby. You get ready.
You and I have great chemistry because our mics are like.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
I know. You ready to talk about pregnancy?
Let's do it.
Okay. I thought we would start though.
I'm getting bigger as we're talking about pregnancy.
Aren't we all?
Okay.
Before you're even like gonna get pregnant, I was like, okay, before you even kind of have that moment, I think it starts with determining when you're ready to start to try to have kids. Some people have them on accident.
Which is still shocking to me.
Shocking.
Right?
Because it's so hard to get pregnant.
Literally.
Technically. Like there's such a small
window.
Yeah. So when that happens, it's kind of mind-boggling. But how did you know you were ready to start having kids?
Ooh, it's such a good question. Okay, so we had been married for 5 years. And right around the 4-year mark, we're getting a little itchy, a little antsy.
How old were you guys?
28. 27. No, I don't know. How old am I now? Yeah. 27 or 28.
Late 20s.
We'll call it that. And I looked at Eric one day and I said, if we don't change this, it's fine. I love this life. Love this life.
No kids, loving it.
No kids.
Dinks.
We were traveling, staying up late, or sleeping in, doing all the things. And I'm like, if we don't change this or start to talk about what our future looks like, because we both, mentioned we want to have kids, we want to do this, then I'm like, I'll be good. So I'm like, if we, keep going in this direction, I'm going to be good.
You're describing my siblings' current life.
Yes.
Both of them. They're dinks. Dual income, no kids.
Yes.
But you know what I like to say?
Tell me.
Dinkwads. Dual income, no kids with a dog.
Oh,
it just feels more insulting.
It does.
And so I like it towards my siblings as you guys are dinkwads as they make so much money and have a lot of free time.
Yeah, but they like it.
Love it, I would say.
So that was us. I'm like, I really like this. We get to travel. We get to live our best lives. We want to stay up late. We want to have people over. We want to do whatever we want. It felt like, okay, I can do this for the rest of my life. So, we sat down and we're like, okay, we both really want to have kids. So the dream is we're not doing it, but we're setting it aside. We'll get to travel still. It'll just look a little bit different. And so we're like, okay, let's.
Wait, were any of your friends having kids, by the way? Like, are you the first in your friend group? Are you the last in your friend group? Like, what's in your orbit right now?
So I'm kind of right in the middle because you were pregnant.
I was pregnant before you got pregnant by like 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were pregnant. You were the closest to me in proximity. But a couple of our friends, older friends, had like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. And I'm like, oh, great. Also great. And to me, I'm like, that meant nothing to me. Yeah. At that point, I'm like, you have a couple kids. Awesome. You're growing your family. Cool. But I'm like, now it's totally different having, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh,
so
a
different.
2-year-old and a newborn couldn't be more different.
No.
So we sat down and we're like, let's begin our trying process, right? And let's talk about that.
Did you know it was going to be a process?
No. No, not at all. Because I'm like, oh, you have sex without protection and it happens.
Yeah, so they tell you in high school.
Super cool,
happens right away.
So, like the first couple months, you're like, you feel like a little cheeky,
like
right?
You got a little secret.
Yeah, a little secret. Like the goalie has been removed.
Yeah.
And so then you're kind of like, it's kind of fun. It's like a little bit thrilling. You're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be our month. And it feels, now it feels silly. And then I remember about we're at almost a year in of trying. And I remember being like, okay, this is not fun anymore. And I am now, people are like, try the, what's the thing? The hormone, no.
Ovulation strips?
Yep.
To pee on them?
I never once figured that out.
Well, let me educate their listeners real quick.
Okay.
If you have not tried to get pregnant, it's going to be like what? So in a female's menstrual cycle, there is an ovulation phase, and that's the only time you can actually get pregnant. It's like a 3-day window with 1 to 2 being the peak. So if you track it on like your phone with an app, it can kind of give you a gauge. Some people check their temperature. Those people are like super granola because I could never figure that one out.
No. I can't even find my thermometer. I'm like, great. Yeah.
I think you can use an Oura ring to also check, or I used like an Ava bracelet for a little bit when I was desperate. I'll get to my part. But basically, there's just such a limited window. And if you're not sure what it is, you can order these strips and you can pee on it, and it'll like either give like a double line if you're ovulating. If you have the electric one, it's like a smiley face.
Oh gosh. You
peed
on me. Yay.
You peed on me. Now go have sex.
Yeah.
And so that's how you're like, okay, I want to at least hit the day that gives me the highest possible chance of getting pregnant when I'm ovulating.
Right. And at that point, if you're at that point, to me, like sex was not fun anymore.
I was going to say, you kind of jumped to a year, like, but month after month.
Yeah, that was a big jump. Yeah.
Yeah. You jumped from like, and then a year in, and I'm like, wait
a second.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like those are kind of mini crushing months.
Totally. And, sex at that point was like, all right, lay down. We're doing this thing. It felt very functional. It didn't feel very intimate at all.
Yeah.
And that, that's a bummer. That's like a big bummer. Cause now you're just like, the wind is out of my sails, that type of thing. So do you want to talk about how you
we'll pause and we'll come back.
Okay.
So for me,
cliffhanger.
I'm going a little further back and then I'll meet you where you were.
Okay, love it.
Okay, deciding when we were ready to have kids. So we got married young. So we just knew like we're going to wait a while. And at the time, I got married like right after I turned 21. Aaron was 23 or 24, something about that math. And then we were like, we're going to wait 3 to 5 years. And then we hit 3 and it's the same. We're like, this is so much fun. There's no way we're screwing this up. So we said, okay, 5 to 7. So we kind of like kicked it down because it was just really like a great time. In that time, when we had moved from Texas to California, a lot of my friends in Texas were getting pregnant or trying or kind of having the family. So also in that time of me kicking it down, I'm like celebrating my friends and doing baby showers and birthing. But I also in that time witnessed people trying to get pregnant and it being very difficult. And I saw like, oh, it's not happening right away for them. Or I walked a few of my friends through miscarriages, which we'll kind of get through later in the episode. And I was like, oh, this can actually be really difficult. So it also felt kind of sobering of, okay, like when I'm going to start trying, there's some things at play that I may want to consider coming in. And it kind of felt like it's not as casual as I thought it was. So then cut to, I think I woke up and it was on one of my birthdays. I think it was like my 25th or 26th birthday where I just felt this, okay, I'm ready. Like I'm ready. And Aaron, he's always a little further ahead of me. Like he knew he wanted to get married before me. he had said he was ready to have kids at some point. Like we had went to go visit my friend Julie Wick. She's the one I visited in Denver. When we lived in Texas, we went to go visit her in the hospital the day after she had a baby, and Aaron was holding her. And then on
game over
on the way home, he's like, "Okay, I'm ready when you are." Like,
okay.
And so I woke up on my birthday. I was like, "I'm ready."
So that was just a feeling?
It was just a feeling of like, I don't know, I kind of arrived to those feelings. Like I'm kind of, if I say something out loud, it's because I'm going to do it. And I've molded over a lot in my own private internal world, both for marriage, for big decisions, and for babies. And so I just woke up and I was like, okay, I'm ready. And it was also, even though I knew it took a while to get pregnant, I was kind of into like astrology at the time. At the time, I mean, I was like really interested of like, what do these signs mean? What's happening or whatever.
Okay. You're like, if I get, okay,
yes,
this is okay.
And
I see where you're going.
You see where I'm going? Yeah, and I was like, and I had also looked up the signs of people I really enjoyed and people I had a very difficult time with.
You're like, I want to enjoy my child.
I want to enjoy my child. And I had worked with a couple. I'll say a couple. So like no one knows me well enough to do this math. I had worked with a couple Cancer males. And I was like, I think I just want to skip that one just to be safe.
Okay.
So also, I'm going to have to send this episode to Julie. When I saw her and I went to like have coffee and I was like, Julie, I was like, I'm ready to start trying. I was like, I'm really excited. I was like, but I'm going to skip this first month because if I do, I could get a Cancer. And I love the Cancer females, but man, a Cancer male is pretty tough. And she was so gracious, like looking back, like on her perspective. She goes, oh, yeah. Like, I don't remember what she said, but it was almost like.
But now you're tracing it back and you're like, that's what that body language was.
Yeah. Well, no, she did say, like, she said words almost like, oh, yeah, it doesn't quite work that way. Or like,
oh, that's really
I really
gracious.
get it. But, like, and it was like a good friend, like sobering, like not going with me in the journey, but not popping my balloon.
Yep.
And I look back and I just laugh now because she was so right. She had kids at that point. And just so right. And so all that to say is I skipped that first month of trying.
You're like, I'll see you next month.
Yeah.
And now you're like, that was silly.
Yeah. And now I was like, you just wasted a month.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, I want to start trying. And so I had like known enough of like, okay, I think I'm ovulating here or whatever. And then it was like a couple months in and I was like, not happening. I was like, this is kind of frustrating. So I'm a planner. So at first, my first instinct actually was to order ovulation strips.
There you go. Yeah.
But I actually felt, this isn't for everyone, but I felt convicted where I felt like for me, God was saying, hey, I know your natural instinct is to try and like hyper control, but the first thing I want to teach you about parenting is you will not be in control.
Yeah, relinquish it. And I need you to hold this experience with an open hand. And I felt like he even said, hey, maybe you will get to that. You had that conversation with God early on?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like in the first like 2 or 3 months, I was going to order those.
Sure.
And I felt like, okay, this is my pattern of here's a problem. I'll fix it in mine. And I really did feel like God was like, please don't order those.
Yeah.
Like
hold the phone here,
hold
sister.
the phone.
Yeah.
And I felt like he was like, if you can hold this open-handed, it's going to be kind of a dance between us. And I don't want you to err on the side of control. I want you to err on the side of trust.
Wow.
And I don't think that's what he would say to everyone, but it's definitely what he said to me.
Sure.
So I didn't order them. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try and hold this open-handed. But I always felt internal conflict because I was like, when it comes to getting pregnant, I was like, there is a part to play that I have to do. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You have to have sex on a certain window.
Right.
Anything outside of that is only God. So I can't be like, I'm going to control everything. But I also can't be like, I'm going to relinquish everything and hope for the best.
Right.
It is this weird fine line that you have to hold that I didn't like.
Yeah. I too didn't like it.
No, it was really hard. So I went, I had already had like my annual. So I went to go see my doctor, Dr. Karen Lerner. She's agreed to come on here at some point, by the way.
Is she going to just pop out of the closet any moment?
I know, I wish.
Dr. Lerner. She had both of our kids.
Yeah. And many of our friends.
Oof.
I know, because one of our friends who's pregnant is like, she came from a Lerner appointment. She's like, you should have Lerner on there. So she's agreed. She's just too busy right now. But I'll do that later.
Okay.
But she was like, hey, it's not even considered like infertility until like a year. And then we can figure out. She's like, we'll revisit it a year.
Okay.
But
Which
then
is also like, That's a long time.
That's a super long time because you think like, oh, infertility could happen if you're not getting pregnant in 4 or 5 months. She was like, no, it's really like you're not really in the area of concern until like a year.
And that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, wow, even after a year of, heartache or grieve, it's like now you begin another process almost.
Yeah. And now it levels up in a different way.
Right.
But for me during that year, every month felt like mini grief. It felt like it's the same as like then sex became very much we have to have it on this day.
Yeah.
Aaron was kind of touring at the time.
Oh, I remember that.
So it was a little tough. Like I was trying to line up where I could go visit him sometimes or not. And so it was like some months worked, some didn't. But then every month I got my period was disappointing.
Absolutely.
And you kind of read into it as like the day before. You're like, is this a new symptom I'm feeling?
Oh, right. You're like, oh, my stomach does hurt.
Yes. Like, is this a cramp? Is this anything? And and I had already gotten the gift of how I wanted to tell Aaron.
You already purchased it.
I had got it early on because I was very hopeful. I'm more optimistic in my personality, and it was.
Oh, I remember you telling me
that little like Fajal Raven, this little black backpack. We saw a kid have their toys in it, and I was like, wouldn't it be so cute if we used that as a little diaper bag in their toys? So I had gotten that backpack. I got in a little onesie that said like baby bird. He was into jackets with patches at the time, so I had a patch made that said like Papa Bird, and it had a shirt that said Mama. And I was like, oh, all of it's gonna go.
Love it
in this, but. I'm gonna almost feel emotional. By the end of the year, it's just in my closet. It sucked to look at.
Yeah,
it's disappointing.
I remember you telling me that you had to like put it away.
I was like, I can't look at this. It's just too sad. Yeah. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get to give it to him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ever gonna get to surprise him because as it goes more progressive, it becomes more medical. And I was like, I don't know. So every month I felt like grieving of, oh my gosh, like I thought it would happen this time. I did everything I was supposed to do. And I felt very torn in my relationship with God because I was like, I have no problem trusting you. I was like, I know that you have what's best for me. I was like, I know that if I don't get to have a child from my womb, I'm going to still have a beautiful life and you're going to take care of me.
Right.
I was like, that's not phasing me. What's difficult for me is it's really hard to go to you, God, for comfort when I feel like you could change it.
Yeah.
That's what was tough. I was like, I know you have what's best, but it makes me feel really vulnerable is to go to someone wanting them to take care of me and comfort when I'm like, well, you could change it and you're choosing not to. So it felt like a weird thing as I could relate to him as like someone I trust and someone who has my best interests and who's in charge and ultimately is in control. But I remember being like, I just don't feel like it feels too vulnerable to have such a deep, glaring want that you're not changing.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything. And maybe I'll see in hindsight why. But in the meantime, I'm not. And I just remember it was tough. And then I was talking to our friend Mariah at the time. And I was like, it's really hard. I was like, every month I feel like it's this strange, just blinders. And she was like, well, like she gave me some advice that I didn't get at the time.
Okay, what was it?
So Mariah, where she'll just give you something like so direct. And you're like,
where do I put that?
Yeah, I'm like, it's not what I was expecting. She goes, why don't you find a younger woman and take her under your wing and care about her, like take her to coffee. She was like, and champion her life and put your efforts towards being a resource for her.
Interesting.
Which I thought was interesting. And I'm looking back, I'm like, it does feel so like, oh, me, which you kind of have to, you're kind of in that. But to direct it, and I was like, I mean, it was worth a shot. Yeah. Might as well. And so I, at the time, Ciela was super young.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, Ciela, I was like, I care about you. And I want to be a resource for you and whatever that looks like. And I want to support you. And so then I started kind of like a mentorship with Ciela. And it did. Like it helped me kind of get out. Like it felt weird, but being in service to someone else as I was going through grief actually helped. Like it helped me kind of like.
Was it more of a distracting tool or was it more like I'm just shifting my energy towards something else?
Yeah, I think it was almost like a purpose in the middle kind of moment of like, I'm not going to wait to be in service to other people, even though I'm kind of like emotionally hemorrhaging.
Right.
In a way, it it helped so much where it's like.
And did Ciela know?
No.
That, oh, that's really beautiful.
No.
Was she like, thank you? Like how, you know, like.
That's such a good question. Well, she had been around. She's like served at our same church, and Erin like was kind of over her with music and stuff. And I think she was like looking for it. I don't know if I'm the type of person that people would go ask. I don't know if I give off the energy of like,
I'm available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it was, I don't know. I'd have to ask her that. But I think it was like, I think it was grateful, but I don't know. I also had, someone else that I was kind of like deciding, I was like, who, you know, would it be? And then I felt like that one like was not.
Yeah.
And Ciela like took it because I was also like, I'm not just going to choose and assume that they want it.
Sure.
So I had another person where I was like, I'm going to take them both to coffee and offer it. And then Ciela took the bull by the horns.
Yeah. And you were like, you're my girl.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I want someone who wants this.
Absolutely.
But all that to say, so now we're both at a year mark.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We've arrived.
We're here. 20 minutes
Mine might have been like 10 or so months, but let's just call it a year for.
Okay. Yeah. But then I went to Learner. I was like, help me.
Yeah. Yoo-hoo.
Yeah, hello. Yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
And then we did some tests. Like we did, and actually some of them were painful. They had to do something like I don't even remember what it was, but I remember I had to like go and they had to do some scans and like it was, I don't remember, but it was a painful test. And then Aaron just got to, his was pleasurable. He just jizzed in a cup.
Little sucker.
Yeah. Men have it so easy when it comes to all of this. That's for sure. But that is another thing you don't know. Infertility can come from male sperm, by the way. Like I feel like women get it of, like it's dealing.
Right.
A lot of the times it's actually like their little sperm heads are messed up. Like they have like double tails.
I'm just picturing little sperms above your head. No, but that's the first instinct is to think, something's wrong with me. Or my body, or I'm not able to do this.
Exactly. But no, Aaron was okay.
Okay. All right.
But also in there. Everything was okay with me too.
Okay. So then what?
So then for us, so I'm going to also talk other like scenarios after this. So after this, there's kind of a progression of you can take this type of like medication before that helps to guarantee you ovulate, but then it's kind of dangerous because then you could like ovulate, like you'd be super fertile and have like twins. They tell you that.
Oh my gosh.
Watch out.
Okay.
Then it goes to insemination where they like will make sure everything goes in. Then it can go to IVF,
right?
Which is in vitro fertilization. It's where they take out your eggs, they take a sperm, they make sure it's working, they put it back in, you see if it takes. Also can happen with twins because our generation, there's a huge spike in twins because of all of this fertility stuff, more than any generation past.
I believe it.
And then after that, it can go to surrogacy where someone else is carrying your baby. So that's a little bit of the progress. And so I think with Isley, I remember I did take a medication for about 2 months. And then it had been, I think, like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then I'm going to share how the best day of my life.
Yes!
And I almost was like, man, should Aaron, like marrying him be the best day? But I was like, if I'm being honest, this is the best day of my life.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I was feeling different because my breasts were feeling tender.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, oh.
You're like,
something's different.
Yeah.
And I gotten up early to go to the gym and I peed on the pregnancy test and I saw like the faintest line and my heart like shot out of my chest. I was like, oh my gosh, it's real. It's real. Oh, I forgot. There's a whole element. I've been going to an acupuncturist for like 6 months. I forgot about that.
What?
One of my friends recommended it. And so I was like, I'll try anything.
I don't know if I remember that.
Yeah, her name was Susan, called her Suze.
Okay, love.
She's so fun and so kooky. And yeah, okay. Of course. And she said it was probably stress, that I had like cortisol, and she was like, we need to work on your stress management.
Okay.
So I think that might have also been it. But she would also check your pulse before, and like I had friends say like she can check by your pulse if you're pregnant. And the time I had gone before, she'd check my pulse, and then she had a look, and I said, Suze, what's that look? She's like, oh no, I'm just checking your pulse.
No
and I
way.
saw it. So actually the one of the,
you're too observant.
I could just tell. Susan checked my pulse and I was like, I think there's something in there. So I, then.
The body is crazy.
The body's crazy. I was like, I'm ditching the gym. I got the bag. I was so excited. And I went to our favorite coffee shop. And
I remember this.
Yes. And because we used to walk there and I said, hey, when I come in here with my husband in like an hour, when you deliver his coffee, can you just deliver this bag with it?
Love it.
I know, it was so fun. And then on the way back, I called Candace, and she goes, you told me before Aaron?
You're like, wait a second.
And I was like, yes, I did. I said, I got to tell someone he's asleep.
Oh my
And so we were just like freaking out, screaming, so excited. And then I texted Suze and I sent her the pregnancy test and I said, you knew it, didn't you? And then she wrote back. She goes, yeah. She goes, I could tell by your pulse.
Oh, I love that so much.
So much. And so then I had Aaron, like I woke him up. I was like, hey, can we just walk to get a coffee? And he's like, yeah. And then he's taking his sweet time.
You're like, hurry up.
I was like, you have no idea. So I had like the mama bear shirt under a jacket. And so he like, then we go, and he had known what that bag was before. So when they bring the bag, he got so excited. I unzipped my shirt and I was like, I'm pregnant. And like, it was so exciting.
I love that.
And then we had to keep the secret, which again, we'll get to later in the pregnancy part.
Yes.
Where it's like, I don't know culturally why we do that, but we're still doing it.
We are.
And so we kept a secret. But you, okay. Your journey from 1 year to finding out.
Okay. So I found out. Okay. This is what happened. We were building our campus in Orange County. And so we had a bunch of people over, but I'm like, I think I'm pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
And so everyone was downstairs and I'm like, I don't know why I'm choosing to do this right now because the timing is insane. But I had a pregnancy test. I think they're left over from you actually. So thank you because, they're kind of expensive and annoying. Just that annoying thing to buy. Like tampons. I'm like, why are you $25?
That's another thing. By the time you're a year of checking, you don't do digital.
Literally.
You're like, I hate this. Give me the cheapest pregnancy test because it's just going to be thrown away.
100%. So I go upstairs. I lock the door. I pee on the stick or whatever. And then I'm like, those 2 minutes are like an eternity, right?
It's crazy.
So I flip it over. It says pregnant. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Okay. I didn't plan what to do with this feeling now. So now I'm just like, okay. So now I'm like, everyone's downstairs. I can't like be like, Eric, come upstairs. So now I'm like, wow, I really didn't think through anything beyond this point.
Oh, wait, isn't this where you put it?
Yes.
I forgot.
It was a disaster. So I'm like, okay, pregnancy, where do I put it? Where is Eric going to like find it? So I'm like, under the pillow.
Just a pea stick under the pillow.
It's actually really gross now that I'm thinking about it. So I put it under the whatever. Or maybe it was under the blankets or something. And so everyone... It
was the blankets because he...
Yes. No. Well, okay. So everyone leaves and we're dilly-dallying and I'm like, let's go to bed. I'm tired. I'm not tired at all. It's like 9:30.
I would be.
So yeah, you'd be asleep already. And so Eric goes, it's hot. And I'm like, it is hot. He lays on top of the blankets. I'm like, okay. This isn't going to work. He gets up. I grab the pregnancy test. I don't even remember what I did with it. I think I put it in his pajama drawer. I'm like, he will certainly open up the pajama drawer to find it. Opens up the drawer. Or he doesn't open up the drawer. So he lays on top of the thing. He goes to sleep, like, I think in what he's wearing. So finally I'm like, I grab it and I pull it somewhere with me in bed. And then finally I'm nudging him. I'm doing anything possible. So
anyone listening, she's squirming a lot and poking me.
Yeah. I'm like trying to do as much as I can with my body without being like, I'm pregnant, So finally the big reveal. And so we just have a big, a hug, embrace, and it's like the best day. It's really the best day. It's like something we worked so hard at together. It's finally here. But then now what? Right?
Yeah.
This is like now, the first... Keep going.
Yes. Well, now it's like you're thrilled, but then it feels like this insane secret.
Insane.
Because, and the reason people don't say pregnancy, like you don't announce it typically
straight away
until the second trimester is one, you can't have your first appointment even until 8 to 10 weeks of pregnancy.
Right.
And you find out you're pregnant usually week 4 or 5.
Sure.
Which the math is weird too, because it says 4 or 5, but that's based on the start of your last period.
Right.
So you're like, technically, I've actually only been pregnant for like a week or two. So the math is also strange. I remember being really confused of why are they saying week 4 or 5? So you download an app and you put in the date of your last period, and that's how they then track when your due date is, all of that, which is interestingly educational.
Yep.
But you get excited, you call your doctor's office, and they're like, great, see you at week 8 or 9. You're like
what?
I have to wait a month. And then it's a little tough because some pregnancy, there's an ectopic pregnancy where it's not in your uterus correctly, or I don't know, sometimes there's hormonal pregnancies. There's just a lot of like unknown to verify that you are definitely pregnant. And so you're just kind of stuck for a month.
Yep.
And some people tell friends, some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Did you end up telling friends?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, after almost a year of trying, it's like,
yeah,
I have to.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'm like, this is the best news.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think we told people fairly, I think it was like 6, maybe 8 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Pretty early.
Yeah, not publicly, but close friends.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember, because I remember...
You told us pretty early with Isley.
Yeah, I think I told close friends really soon.
Mm-hmm.
For the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
And my personal prerogative is, if we should go through something devastating, I would need my friends.
Yeah.
So I'd like them to be in this moment and in a future moment, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that, I don't remember. Oh, the way I told our family was really fun. I had told my mom first, which so rogue of me. I just sent her a picture of the pregnancy test. I didn't do it live. I didn't do FaceTime. I just was like,
that's incredibly rogue.
I know. I think I was like, took so long that I was like, I'm done with these pre-planning big things.
Yeah.
Like, we're just celebrating it. And then she called me. She was like, what? And I was like, I'm pregnant. I don't know why I did that. It doesn't make sense.
It also doesn't add up for you.
Well, I think it's because it was like after like 1.5 years, 2 years of like anticipation, I was like just over
it.
A big gesture.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna be in this right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom, it was something about she wanted to do vision boards as a family for something.
Okay, love.
So I was like, oh, perfect. I was like, Mom, now that you know, I was like, when we do our vision boards next week, can you film it? We're going to tell you guys our vision for the next year or whatever.
And was it like a family?
It was like our family. Our whole family was doing. My family does like pretty like kooky family nights for some reason.
I'm saying, was your board family oriented?
It was. We did it on Aaron's board. So Aaron was talking about this, and his was very like, I really want a lot of growth and expansion or whatever. And then he lifted one of the flaps, and it was like a stroller. He's like, and a baby, and we're all like, wow!
Oh, I love that.
So it was really fun how we told family. But yeah, then we went to the first appointment. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I wish I knew before I got pregnant is your first appointment is not an ultrasound on the belly.
Oh my gosh.
It is a wand that is inserted inside of you and moving around.
Terrible.
Insane.
No one can prepare you for that.
Anything in a movie, they do it on your stomach.
I know. You're like, oh, cute. Look at that little heartbeat.
I'm ready for the stomach. And then when they go, take your pants off.
I said, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, put your feet in a stirrup. You're like, huh? And the wand is
I ain't ready down
it's
there.
the size of this microphone. It's going around. And you're like, what is happening? And so that's how they check your 8 to 10 weeks. So anyone who's never had a baby,
get ready.
Do
what you need to do down there.
Do what you need to do.
Don't be a surprised young lady like me.
So then you kind of hold your breath waiting for the heartbeat.
Right.
And it sounds very fast. It's like,
yeah.
But that's a good thing.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. And then they're just like, great, it's in the right spot. And they measure it. And they make sure everything's good. You get your first little ultrasound of a kidney bean.
You get a due date.
You get a formal due date. Which is interesting. And then I was into astrology. She's supposed to be a Sagittarius.
This is why. This is why this whole plan doesn't work.
It's all coming. It doesn't work. Trying to control the situation doesn't work. I got her a little Sagittarius little onesie.
This is funny. Even.
I know. I just go on these kicks. It was Enneagram and astrology.
Right what kick are you on right now?
What kick am I on? Probably 7 frequencies.
Okay, love it.
Haven, what's the best part about a fight?
Winning.
Winning?
No, I'm kidding. You don't really win in marital fights.
You can win. I think when you come together in the right way, maybe what you thought was winning isn't winning at all.
I think I know your answer to what your favorite thing about a fight is.
Make up sex afterward?
Okay, maybe I didn't. Anyways, we have created a course called How to Fight Better. It's under our umbrella of Pillow Talk, which is about just conversations that you can have with your spouse. We brought in our actual marriage counselor of 12 years, Dr. Jonathan Cood, to help us and explain the tools that he's been teaching us that have helped us have what we feel like is a really thriving, enjoyable marriage and one that we're proud of. And so we were like, how can we share these experiences, but also the professional person who taught us how to do this with the world? So you can go to joinpillowtalk.com right now to get How to Fight Better. Okay, back to the episode. Yeah, I had a neighbor who also was a little woo-woo. She was a Sag, and I was like, tell me about you. She goes, we're free birds. Don't put us down. Like, we love to travel. And so I was like mentally preparing for this.
For like a free bird.
Yeah. As we know, Isley, the non-freest bird you've ever seen.
She's gentle.
So gentle,
You know,
so sweet.
She admires the birds.
She's friends with the birds.
Yeah,
She
really
loves
is.
them. But we'll get to that part.
Okay.
But basically, then it's like, okay, once you hit 12 weeks, you're in your second trimester, the likelihood of miscarriage decreases.
It does.
It's not gone away for good.
Right.
But it does decrease. And then that's when it typically is like a public thing.
Right.
I do feel like we may want to kind of camp out on the miscarriage portion.
Okay.
With the caveat that you and I, neither of one of us have experienced it personally.
Correct.
So we're speaking from the vantage point of observing friends who have gone through it, but
like quite a few friends.
And so I also, anyone listening, I know it can be very triggering and very painful because I do think there is like this devastating aspect of getting pregnant, and whether you're expecting it or not, all of a sudden you're kind of envisioning, you buy the onesie,
of course,
you
begin dreaming,
and then
which is a really good thing.
Yeah.
To like dream about it and to like plan out, this is how I want my life to look like with this new bundle of joy, you know?
And you kind of do it without abandon.
Right.
Because it's like, like I have no reason to believe it wouldn't. But then there can be times where like you kind of feel cramping or something doesn't feel right, or you go in for a scan and you think it's going to be one thing and it's another. And it's really, really difficult. And what I wish I knew before I got pregnant was just like, it's a miracle to get pregnant. And there's absolutely a possibility of like a devastating loss too, which you don't really think about when you're in the dreaming phase. I mean, you do as far as a worry, but you're also like, you have no idea how to stop it.
Yeah. So as a friend, we're friends. For somebody who has gone through a miscarriage, how do you navigate that? Because it's such a fine line of I want to give you space, but I also don't want you to feel abandoned at all. So what does that look like to serve somebody who is in this process?
You're right, because it's different for every person and every personality type, but I always find that I'm going to err on the side of like reaching out instead of not. Like they can not write back to me.
It's up to them.
It's up to them. They could even, like, if they would ever say it's a lot, you know, but I'm going to err on the side. Because what I've heard from my friends is, like, it's, you know, maybe people circle around when it happens and, like, reach out. But then at that 6-month milestone, you're feeling the grief again. At the due date, you're feeling the grief again. So when my friends have gone through it, I set a reminder in my phone of, like, when their 12 weeks would have been, when their due date would have been.
And you don't feel like I'm opening up the wound a bit?
I've never had a friend say it was
too much, right?
And I always try and open it, but usually they're really grateful because they're thinking about it.
I don't think you're also like, let me rip off the Band-Aid.
No.
You're being delicate about it.
I think they feel like, oh, someone remembered my child, not just them, because I think it's also gone. So if they've named the child, I also always call the child by name because it is a person and it's something that they care about. So I'm like, you know, hey, I know that this would have been like whatever they named the child, like Phoenix's birthday today. Yeah. And I know you're thinking about them and I'm thinking about them too. And I'm sorry that happened. And
so what would be your advice for someone who has gone through a miscarriage and they're going to begin trying again, or even that they do get pregnant? What's the play there?
It's so hard to speak to it because it's, again, all, you know, subjective to like someone else's, but I think you do. It's almost like the first cut is the deepest. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, now I'm a little gung shy to celebrate, or everything. I'm kind of holding my breath. Right. It has a tinge of, you're thinking, you know, this is a rainbow baby now. That's what they call a baby that comes after a miscarriage, is a rainbow baby. In one hand, you're just almost more appreciative. Right. And then you see like, oh my gosh, like if that would have worked, maybe I wouldn't have had this baby. I don't know how that works together. And so I would probably just say, like, have like 1 or 2 friends that you invite in and you tell them how they can love you, where it's like, hey, it would mean a lot if you reached out and said, this from time to time, or when I'm sad, can I call you? And, you just listen while I cry, or
Right.
So you're not alone in that, because also being pregnant can feel very isolating and alone.
Yeah, very much.
So even kind of like not transitioning off the topic of miscarriage, but the way that like when pregnancy happens, I remember personally feeling like strangely connected to every woman in the world that's ever had kids.
Right.
Where you're just like, you look at everyone and you see it differently. You're like,
oh, we are a part of this
Yeah.
collective.
Everyone has come from a pregnant. It just feels kind of surreal of like, oh my gosh, so many millions of billions of women
It's
have
like
done
a different
this.
filter. Like,
It
you've
is.
had a child.
Yeah. And it's like you strangely feel like this is how life cycle happens. But then also at the exact same breath, I felt like no one had ever done it before because I had never done it before.
Oh.
And so
can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, it felt like I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this universal connection, but also this is entirely new to me.
Uh-huh.
And so this is completely unknown territory.
Right.
Like, I've never been pregnant. Like, no one's ever been pregnant the way that I have.
Yeah.
Which is true to everyone.
Right.
But it felt like a weird mix of like, this is my body. This is happening. Like, now there is this deadline. This is happening. My body is involuntarily changing.
Right.
Like, it also felt this strange evolution that's like now outside your control, and it's like what's happening and what to expect. So it's also a strange switch of when you're pregnant where you're like, I remember, you probably remember this, even in the first and second trimester, my boobs,
Watermelons.
ginormous. Insane.
I mean, we'll talk about this too,
Mhm.
but breastfeeding boobs, I've never seen your boobs like that.
No.
I've never seen any boobs like that.
They were crazy.
You were a literal porn star.
I really was. I mean, Aaron got he got a different vibe of me at that
literally.
time. Literally. We'll get to that in postpartum.
Yes.
That's a different episode that we're going to do after this one.
Yeah.
But that was also strange where like my belly didn't show as much immediately.
Mhm.
My boobs,
Yeah.
it looked like I had a boob job
Literally.
out of nowhere. And I was like, what? And they were like tender and they were huge. And I had,
you're like, you're not like a person that wears like plunging V-necks or like, but it was like you would wear a shirt and I'm like, there they are.
anything was. A t-shirt was.
You're promiscuous. Like it felt like it was just.
So that's
out
one
there.
thing you don't anticipate when you get pregnant is like you have to get new bras.
Oh yeah. I remember. I mean, I wear like little bralettes,
Yeah.
like little tiny, barely bras. And I remember being like, I have to go to Nordstrom and buy a bra.
You used to you'd be like, oh, I'm braless. It's casual.
Literally.
And I was like,
And now I'm like, I'll have to lock these suckers in.
literally.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's interesting because it's like your bra size is changing. Like you're then kind of like using looser pants, but you don't actually, they say you don't like visibly show mostly where someone can tell you're pregnant versus just like overweight is till month 5. Which I actually think is interesting because I'm like, okay, your body's doing that, but also like emotionally, you're changing a lot.
Oh yeah.
And when you were even like talking to people before, you were like that weird in between of like, you're not physically looking pregnant. Emotionally, you're still like realizing you're pregnant. It's a really wonky middle.
It is very incredibly wonky because you're like, where am I? I remember, I think it was closer to the end of the pregnancy, actually. Eric would look at me and I would be like, I'm going to cry. He would look at me, this one look. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm emotional. It would just be one single look. But I mean, all that to say, emotions and everything is just in total flux.
Yeah.
Flux?
Flux. Flux. Say it with an accent.
Flux. Okay, keep going.
That's also where like our marriage counselor came to play because we hadn't seen him as much. Like we would just kind of go more ad hoc. But when we were pregnant, I was like, things are all over the place. And I forgot to mention this when we were trying to get pregnant, but he recommended a book called And Baby Makes 3.
Oh, nice.
And it was really helpful because what Aaron and I did, even though each month was like really tough, I was like, well, maybe this is a gift. Maybe we can prepare for our parenthood before we have this deadline of a baby. Like, who do we want to be as parents? And so each week we would read a different chapter.
Nice.
And then we would go to that coffee shop where I'd surprised him to discuss it. But so he helped us like trying to get pregnant. And then when we were pregnant, it was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I remember he gave Aaron this advice that I actually was like semi-offended by in the middle of it.
Okay.
he was like, okay, Aaron, he's like laughing at this. He was like, now it's just for the next 9 months, you're just going to hide behind the couch. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, Haven's going through so much.
Uh-huh.
And you have to know it's not about you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about you. And I was like, I had the wherewithal to know my hormones enough where I was like, this may be true.
Yeah.
So I said,
you were offended because you're like,
I was like, what? Of course it is. Like,
yeah.
But what I said was, I was like, here's the deal. I was like, you can, when I'm hormonally all over the place.
Like hide behind the couch?
Hide behind the couch emotionally, no, it's not about you.
Sure.
As long as you don't tell me that's what you're doing. I was like, you probably should duck and cover.
Right.
Because I kind of do want to like sharpshoot a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
you're like,
I'm
ready.
I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, and so this is probably solid advice to protect you and know it's really not about you, it's about hormones.
Uh-huh.
But if you tell me it's my hormones.
It's game over, buddy.
If you tell me I'm going to hide behind the couch, I will come behind that couch. And
you'll say, what couch?
I'll literally be like, we're throwing it out. So I was like, it's actually good advice. Like, I was like emotionally sober enough in that moment to know, okay, like, yes, these hormones are crazy. Because one of my favorite stories Aaron and I share all the time, it's just it's the perfect encapsulation of pregnancy. Is one morning he was doing something and he was joking and I unleashed.
You weren't having it.
I literally was like, if you could be serious for just like one moment of your life.
Oh, wow. You did the whole life.
Yeah, life. I was like, that would be awesome if you could just stop joking. Take it seriously and whatever. Like, just so, like, very, like, he probably should have hid behind the couch.
Yeah.
But then later that day, like, he said something and I laughed so hard. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you have been cracking me up all day. And he was literally like, do you remember this morning?
Did he bring it up?
Yeah, he did. And I was like, oh, I did say that this morning.
You're like, whatever you're doing now is working.
Yeah, it's working. But I had literally said, you've been cracking me up all day. He was like, I know I haven't.
Yeah, I've been literally making you so mad
all day. I've been making you so mad. So that to me is like the pregnancy where you're just like kind of all over. And you do want a partner to be like, this isn't like, it's not me not being funny. It's not me being too funny. Yeah. Like, this is all in your orbit and I'm just going to give you so much grace. So that's what our counselor was basically saying is like, give Haven so much grace.
So much.
Because it's not like, it is all over the place. I
remember being like, I'm going to get pregnant and I'm not going to be one of those pregnant girls. And here I am marching in the pregnancy band, like
waddling,
literally waddling, trying to get up, trying to march. But no, you're like, I'm not going to be hormonal or I'm not going to be all over the place. But here it is. It's like an overwhelming amount of like emotions. Like, what do I do with this?
And in the moment, you also kind of don't even think that it's like that. You're just like, this is so real.
And then at the end of the day, you're reflecting and you're like, wow. I was literally insane.
Yeah. And that's like the crazy part where it's just like it really is kind of like all over. I found that like not to make it so spiritual, but I was like, I just thought I was a better person than this. I literally thought I'm a pretty good person. Yeah. But what I realized is for pregnancy, all of the thoughts that I always have, like the rude, the sharp, the cruel, the
out
mean.
They go.
I was like, what normally I would have enough patience and time and energy to go, that's not the best way to word that.
Sure.
Say it and reframe it. This is a different stage. Like, that's not kind, or don't say that. Like, all of that middle band of like of wisdom was gone.
Isn't that crazy?
Because I was like, oh, like, no, I'm actually not a great person. I just like try and like take everything I'm going to say captive.
Yeah.
But really deep down, my nature is pretty
right,
like pretty.
You're like, wow, I put a lot of like
human
pause on some things that I really want to say but don't.
Exactly. But when I was pregnant, it was almost like the cartilage of the knee, like that one's gone. It was just rubbing bone on bone.
Oh gosh.
Where I was like,
good visual.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, like this, like I just truly thought like I was an evolved person, and I was like, no, like it takes me, I have to work really hard. And when I don't have energy, I kind of got a little nervous of like what I would say. Yeah. Because I just didn't have that same filter. And it was sharp. Yeah. I think I've told you the smoothie story. I think I've said it on here before.
Which one?
Oh, this is one. Like, this is an example of like how I just did not handle it well. But I handled it it felt good. Yeah. I went to a smoothie store when I was like super pregnant. Yeah. And they had this like long, it was like a rectangle. You order there and then you walk to the end to get it. Which I just thought, ingress, egress, pretty dumb. Yep. Well, whatever.
Just hand it to me.
Yeah, you should kind of work it. So I ordered, and then they walked down to the end, and they called my name, and I was sitting there at the front, and I was like, do you think you could just bring it here to me? and they were like, oh, like, no, I'm sorry, we can't. Like,
oh my gosh.
we can't hand it there. And like, we can't hand it over, like, I guess the cash wrap because it would, whatever. When I'm non-pregnant, I would have walked towards the end and I would have said, hey, I know you probably didn't make this policy, but maybe tell your manager, like, it's a little silly, and kind of just educated and let them know, like, I know this isn't your fault.
Sure.
Like this,
I'm not going to shoot the messenger type of thing.
No. But me being pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
I just stood my ground and I said, that's weird. I made them walk it to me.
No, you did not.
Yes. I just stood there.
You stood there?
I just stood there. I just said, that's weird. And they brought it to me. And I was like, thank you. Like, just so, like, that's not the best way to handle it.
Oh, I could feel the tension right now.
Yes.
Of you standing there.
Super pregnant. Where
Did
I just
you go
was
back
also,
there? Have you gone back since?
You know what? They went out of business, and I think it's because they had
It's
stupid
'cause that
policies. They should have really fixed that.
Okay, should we talk about the difference between our 2 pregnancies?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, just lay up and throw it right back at me.
Hey, I said it, you spike it, baby.
This is why we have a good chemistry test. Okay, so, well, even our 2 kids had different ones, like my 2 and your 2.
Mm-hmm.
So with Isley, like, everything was going around, like, totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is this one test in your second trimester. It's for gestational diabetes.
Yes.
You have to drink this, like, it's like 50 or 60 grams of sugar.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And this little thing that, like, looks like Kool-Aid but tastes terrible.
It's so weird, though. Can we just pause on this? Because I'm like, I would rather be more mentally prepared, like, on that first appointment.
Yes.
Hey, this is going up your vagina. All these things, right?
Yes.
But I feel like I got the most prep for the drink.
Yes.
And then I take the drink and I'm like, it was all that for that?
They
felt like it was no big deal.
It's true. They give you a printout because they hand you your drink and they say you have to bring this before your next appointment. You have to have not
Which
eaten
the instructions are insane, by the way.
It's like
don't do this before 30 minutes,
novel.
before after 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, so I think I'm taking this at the right time.
Yeah, and it's so tough because it's like this like novel of instructions.
Insane.
And then they also don't tell you like, oh, you should probably book your time in the morning because otherwise you're hungry all day.
Literally.
Then you're drinking this thing and you have a sugar spike.
Uh-huh.
So you drink it before you go in and then they draw your blood and they basically are testing. And it's like a pass-fail.
Mm-hmm.
If you pass it, you're fine. You don't have it.
Yep.
If you fail, you have to book another appointment at a blood place and you have to set up shop there for like 4 hours. You have to drink it and then they take your blood once every hour after that.
Oh my god.
So it's like a whole day affair and you feel really shaky and you've only had sugar.
Right.
But also I'm like, if you have gestational diabetes, like this is a really bad start.
Right.
For your kid.
I know.
It's like you don't process sugar well. Here's the
sugar.
60 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
And then if you fail that, then they're like, you have gestational diabetes.
Right.
So that happened with Isley.
Yep.
And I was like shocked because I was also like, I worked out a lot throughout the pregnancy.
Right.
I wasn't eating crazy. I wasn't gaining weight.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was. I meant like insane amounts.
Right.
And so then I had failed it. And so I had gestational. So then you have to go to the high risk doctor and the nutritionist.
I remember.
And this old lady sitting with you and you have this old green book, a printed green book that you have to log your food. You then get a I don't even know the name of it. It's like where they check your blood. One of those, a blood checker. That's what they call it.
Let's call it that.
A blood checker. Where you then, they're like, they show you, you prick your finger and it has like a little drop of blood and you have to do that 4 times a day.
A day?
A day. So it's right when you wake up.
Oh gosh.
And then it's like,
I'm a baby too. I'm like, I don't.
No, and it hurts and you like, your fingers get sore and then it's like, okay, 15 to 20 minutes after you eat, you have to do it. And then they give you all this thing. I actually found it helpful nutrition-wise because I wasn't particularly educated before. They're like, so carbs, it's not just sugar. Like obviously, or they said you need to adjust the sugar and your carb intake because carb turns into sugar.
Right.
So they're like, here's the amounts you can have. Like a tortilla, you can have half a tortilla.
Oh my gosh. I remember you were so sad.
So sad.
Uh-huh.
So sad. And they're like, and if you do have like an apple, it has to be paired with peanut butter. And it was like all these restrictions, and you're checking your blood 4 times a day. And then the things you don't think it's going to spike. Like I remember like you just kind of test a little bit.
Right.
Because I went to Disneyland and I was like, come on, let me have a churro.
Oh gosh.
But you're walking so much, my blood didn't spike.
This is girl math, by the way.
Yeah. This is girl math. But one time I had sweet potatoes, and those made me go
they
so
don't
high.
call them sweet potatoes for nothing.
No, but I was like, oh, it's not the same.
Okay.
So these things, and you log them on your green book, and you have to present your green book to your doctor every
it's
time.
like homework.
It's like homework, and you have to log what you ate, and like it's like very much like, did you love your child enough to eat well or not? Like,
whoa.
So then I had to do that, and I was able to keep it regimented, and ironically, I felt great.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you were crushing it.
I felt like my body was great, didn't have any swelling, wasn't sore. Obviously, like diet's going to be helpful.
Right.
And so you'd have to like bring it back, but also there was one time. So I think with Isley, from like start to finish, I think I gained like 28 pounds.
What?
But there was 1 week.
I'm sorry, what?
But there was 1 week, it was like a month in between appointments where I gained 9 of those pounds.
Oh, jeez. I
and
mean,
this is why I'll probably have Lerner on, Dr. Lerner, is because it was also when I was gestational, and I don't know if she thought it was funny, but she was like, looking at my log, she's like, yeah, I know, like, you're not eating things crazy. I can't tell why you're packing on the pounds.
oh my gosh. And if you know Lerner, like,
she's the person you want in a crisis.
Yeah. She's the person I want to absolutely deliver my baby.
Yes. No nonsense.
Yeah.
No fuss.
She walks in that
so
room.
Smart.
She puts her hair up, and you're like, okay.
When her hair goes up, you know it's time.
Oh, yeah.
Bedside manner when you're gaining weight. Could use some work, my girl. But it was like, that was like the spike where it was like also just I say that of like my body was like, it could not be like put into these categories. Like it was like really strange. So then in one of the high risk scans, so they have to go and scan your baby more frequently at the high risk doctor. They realized that she had like asymmetrical growth, and it was like potential of like a stillborn. So I was like, okay. So then I had to go twice a week for non-stress tests and all this stuff. And then long story short, she came at 36 weeks. Like I was at an appointment. They're like, you ready to have a baby today?
I remember you texting me like, we're having a baby today. I was like, oh, what? Did you go with the hospital bag? Are you ready? Do you have a crib? Like,
yeah, they told me that to have that stuff, and I didn't. I had it at home. But because I thought after enough appointments, it would have happened by now.
Right.
But then it's coming full circle, girl.
Yeah.
She's a Scorpio. Because she came a month early.
That is that's a very big
We
circle.
came and we landed right here.
And you didn't plan it.
No. And my sister's a Scorpio, and I was terrified.
Do you find that they're similar?
Yeah, they actually are. Super similar. They're super similar as they were of like, my sister was a super tender, sweet little girl. Got like a little like spice kick if you push her too far. So they're super similar.
Oh, I love that.
But how do we go over and land the plane to your pregnancy? Because Isley was all over the place, and then I'll scoot to Ekko. Ekko, totally fine. No problem.
Like a really no fuss situation.
No fuss. With Isley, I craved peaches. Like,
I remember that. I got you a whole...
You did my birthday theme of peaches. Do you remember? She gave me peaches and a recipe card. It was very thoughtful. I love that one. Ekko, I craved white wine.
I did not know that.
I craved Riesling.
What?
And I asked her, I was like, can I just have a little bit?
Yeah. She said yes.
I'm not putting on record that she said yes, but I will say that I had some.
Okay.
And it felt great. And with their personalities, it really lines up.
It really does line up.
Really lines up.
I craved with Rooney hot Cheetos.
Oh, wow.
Hello.
She is a hot Cheeto.
Very much. She's a walking hot Cheeto.
And Bodhi?
Bodhi, what did I crave? I craved like mangoes.
Huh.
Like a very summery type of fruit.
We'll have to see that play out in him.
I know. I don't. That one, the hot Cheeto lines
Hot
up.
Cheeto one makes up. So Ekko, I also wanted a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after cesarean. And after, like, Lerner was game. I love that about her. She was very like, let's try it. Like, but if it gets this point past your due date, like it's going to be tricky. But then she checked me. I was like right at 40 weeks. And she's like, oh, something about like your cervix being like, I don't even know, 2 centimeters.
Oh, okay.
Something about it.
You were dilated.
I was dilated.
Okay.
She was like, it was like 1 or 2 or something. She goes, I think you're going to go in labor over the weekend. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. And then sure enough, my water broke over the weekend. Lerner was on vacation. And so after like my water broke, I sent her a picture of me in the hospital. And I was like, where are you? I'm ready.
tapping my finger.
And she was like, haha, coming.
That's amazing.
But okay, so Ekko was just so fine, like across the board. He did have a little NICU stay because of his breathing, which your mom caught. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
When we sent you the
sent
picture.
me a picture, and I held it down for the live photo, which is like, what, 2 seconds of like a flash. My mom said, can I see that again? And I was like, huh? And I'm like, it's Ekko, like on time, healthy baby, you know, no gestational. So I played again. She goes, oh, you got to tell Haven that I think there's like some respiratory thing there. And I was like, Haven, I think, I'm like, I don't, I'm relaying from a NICU nurse.
Yeah.
What she thinks is, and so what
and
happened?
they did. They had already caught it and they brought him into NICU. So Isley, ironically, was like 5 pounds, 4 ounces a month early. Totally fine. Yeah. No big deal. Ekko, my man, comes 4 days late wheeling in here on his own time because when the water breaks, they say that's the baby signaling, by the way. Okay. The baby initiates the water break of what I've seen online.
I've never had my water break.
That part's crazy. I want to get to that. And then they had to take him into NICU for like 2 days for respiratory stuff.
Crazy.
And it was one of my second kid. I was like, I get to sleep. I was like, as long as he's okay. I was like, I'm okay.
This is also something that I wish I knew before I guess pregnant. This may be more postpartum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we really combined these episodes. We'll stop here, and then in the next episode, we're going to go past this story. But you go up to birth.
Okay, up to birth.
So how were your births with Rooney and Bodhi?
So with Rooney, I think the only thing that happened during pregnancy was they were concerned about her heart at one point. And that just speaks to like there can be so many complications once you do become pregnant. And so I remember being like, oh my, you go to worst place, like she's not going to make it, or this is the worst. So ended up doing a couple like heart scans on her. Everything ended up being totally fine. So pregnancy there up to delivery was absolutely insane. So when I started, going in labor, that part was insane, but I think we can save that for the postpartum episode. And then with Bodhi, also like speaking to the planning thing, we didn't know how long it was going to take to get pregnant with Bodhi since it took, quite a bit of time with Rooney. And so we were like trying in March. We're like, let's just, we're ready for number 2. We want to keep growing our family. And we're like, let's try. We ended up getting pregnant on the first time. And I kept telling Eric, like, I'm all game for pretty much anything except for Christmas. And we went to that first appointment. They're like, yeah, his due date is on December 25th. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Okay, great. Just one of those things you like cannot plan.
No.
We could have planned by not starting, our like trying. But it's just like one of those like haha moments, like, yeah, I can't plan this, but this is like our gift. Like this is our second miracle baby. And so yeah. Is that all you want to know there?
What were their births like? Rooney's birth was crazy.
Okay. So with Rooney, I remember it was a Wednesday and I started having contractions and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, it's happening. It's totally happening. And so contractions were happening, I want to say at this point, like every 10 minutes. So I'm like, I can have this baby tomorrow. Joke's on me. Next date's Thursday, obviously. And contractions are about the same, but still like, I'm like, this is the worst pain in my life. I hate this. I hate this so much.
I hate this.
And so then Thursday night, contractions are 5 minutes apart. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's go time. I'm tired already, but it's go time. So, we're logging it. I think I'm DMing Learner and I'm like, hey, we're 5 minutes apart. She's like, go in and get checked, So I go in and get checked and they're like, you're 1.5 centimeters. And I remember being like,
the goal is 10, by the way.
I remember being like, okay. They're like, you should go home.
They can't admit you until you're like 4 or 5, and then you have the baby at 10. So basically, they want to labor you at home. 1, to save a bed for other people. 2, when you're pregnant, it is kind of better to like start that at home because it's the comfort of your own home. You're more relaxed. When you get to the hospital, they don't feed you. They just give you ice chips.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So they're like, go back home, and I'm like, okay, which is the worst because I'm already I've mentally prepared like I'm having this baby. And so to go back home, it's like, oh my gosh. So contractions actually did slow down a bit there. So come Friday, we ramped back up. And I'm like, okay, contractions are like 3 minutes apart, about a minute long. So I'm like, what are we doing? And I'm like, Eric's doing the, you know, the squeezing of the hips. He's doing all the things. And I'm like, this is it for me. And so after like 3 minutes apart, I'm like, certainly go back in. They're like, you're 2 centimeters.
Oh my gosh.
And they said, you have to go back home. And I said, I will not be leaving. So one nurse checks me. She's like, yeah, you're 2 centimeters. Another nurse is like, okay, let me see what's going on. She's like, yeah, she's right. So then finally, the woman from the heavens, she looks at me and said, let me see if I can move some things around. I said, I like the way you talk. So she did something. She went up there. This is after the 3rd check, by the way. And, you know, their whole arm disappears inside of you. And you're like, this is insane.
And you can't even see it because your stomach's in the way.
Literally. So she does something and she goes, oh, you're 4 centimeters, baby. Let's have this baby. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yes.
I love this woman. So then we go to the hospital where we're into the labor and delivery room. And I'm like, I'll have an epidural, please. Because at this point, I'm exhausted. So then it's Saturday. You know, we do the epidural. I sleep for the first time in 2 days. Best sleep of my freaking life. So then it's time to start pushing. I end up pushing for 4 hours. And Dr. Lerner is like, okay, we have to come up with a plan. I can either vacuum this baby out or we can have a C-section. It's totally your choice. And I'm like, I need you to pretty much make this decision for me because I'm done. I'm done here. And
a vacuum is like, it's called the kiwi and it sticks on their head.
Yep. And it's by the way, not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they bring out this machine and it's like, you know, like a literal vacuum. Complete opposite. Dr. Lerner has to have a person who's doing the pumping. And this woman has one leg up on my delivery bench and is pumping that hard to get this baby out. So they have to wait for the next contraction. First contraction doesn't work. And they're like, if the second contraction doesn't work, we have to do a C-section. And it would be an emergency C-section. At this point, I've caught an infection. Like I have a fever. Like it's like we're.
Well, yeah, that's another thing too, is like those 3 cervical checks. Like the more things you insert, more opportunities for infection,
literally,
the more involvement that you have.
Yep.
And
so she's like, it's game time.
It's dicey.
And you know, that shift in the room where like 3 nurses are in there, but then all of a sudden 12 nurses come in. You're like, okay, shoot. So next contraction, they're like, literally give it all you've got and I'm like, oh, I've done so much work. I don't want to have a C-section at this point. And that maybe that's me being super stubborn or just in it to win it. Next C-section, literally, or next contraction, they are like pumping her out and she literally flies out. And she had a little cone shape, a little like scab on her head. But there she was, Rooney Roy. And then with Bodhi, couldn't have been more, like literally more different. Ended up getting induced with him and labored at home until I was like, okay, I feel like this is, you know, we got to go check in for all of it. They did the balloon with me, which is, do you have a good explanation of the balloon? I'll probably butcher it, but they put something inside of you until you're a certain amount. I think it's 3 centimeters dilated. Once you're that, the balloon will come out, and then they know that you're like getting further along, I guess.
Yeah, it's typically with inductions.
Yes. So had that, and that was hilarious because during one of the checks, she was like, oh my gosh, it's coming out. Can I pull it out? I'm like, what if I said no? Yes, woman, you can pull it out. So she pulls it out. And then at one point, they're like, hey, how you feeling? You know, like, let's shift you over. So I shift over and I'm like, oh. I felt like literally something was about to drop out of me.
No way.
And so I was like, it's happening. It's happening. She's like, okay, let me check you. She's like, yes, you're at 10 centimeters. It's go time. Let me call your doctor. Hold on. And then 20 minutes later, Bodhi was there.
That's so great. That's another thing too, is like the doctor doesn't come in until the
all.
end. All of this stuff is nurses and they're just like coming in to save the day.
Literally.
So, okay, I'm going to pause at this point because we're going to do another episode called What I Wish I Knew When I Was Postpartum. So I'm going to get more in the nitty gritty of, okay, what happens in the hospital following after. But we've got some stuff that we also like skipped over of like the very specifics of pregnancy.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of popcorn style
let's
throw
do
it. But cliffhanger, you got to listen to the second episode
Yeah, stay tuned.
for more into this. Okay. Okay. What I wish I knew before I got pregnant was that you have to learn an entirely new language
Okay.
when it comes to baby products.
Oh, yeah.
They're all made up words.
They are.
Like one time I went to the farmer's market with one of our friends and she was pregnant. It was before me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was like kind of shopping for strollers. She goes,
Yeah.
oh, look, that's the Nuna stroller. And then
you're
she was
like,
going,
what? The what?
And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, then there's an Uppa baby.
Oh, yeah.
She goes, and that's what this says. Oh, and that's a bugaboo.
Yeah.
And I was like, what
Yeah.
are you saying?
It's an entirely different language. You're right.
And how do you identify what those are?
Yeah.
Like, so that's another thing is when it comes to baby products, they're all the stupidest words you've ever heard in your life.
Of all time.
And you're just supposed to understand and like know them. Like it's like commonplace
Mhm.
of like, oh, what car seat do you have? Oh, I have a Mesa. I have a, what did you have?
Bugaboo.
Bugaboo.
Which,
Was it the turtle or something?
yeah, the Bugaboo turtle.
Bugaboo. It doesn't make sense. And
Which
so
works with the Nuna fox. It's like, it sounds
Yes.
like I'm making this up.
we also, there's different types of stroller. We had the Uppa Baby Vista, which meant that it could eventually
Oh.
have 2 kids
Oh. A
versus
planner. There she is.
Oh yeah, I was ready. Aaron, he changed his gaming handle to Uppa Baby Vista. So when he's
That's
playing
hilarious.
Fortnite, it was Uppa Baby Vista.
That's hilarious.
He just got so into our stroller. The advice I would give anyone is ask your one research friend. I may be a planner, but I'm not a researcher. Eric, your husband, had a spreadsheet. And it was the pros and cons of every car seat. This one is more durable, but this one's lightweight. This one's
Mhm.
better for travel.
Yep. He
And
had
so
it pretty dialed.
he had it very dialed in what he landed on. I also had friends who, like, you also kind of have to ask a mom who has, like, 2 or 3 kids.
Yep.
Because the first one, you're going to get everything.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I thought I liked the stroller because of how it looks. And then you're like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I can't fit that in my trunk.
Right.
Or I wish I had more space
Uh-huh.
to carry stuff. All my friends with 2, 3 kids said the Duna stroller.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's essentially, it's a car seat that then is on wheels. It's
Yep.
amazing for travel. It's like very no funny business.
Yep.
But I just wish I knew that you have to learn silly words.
Silly words.
And if you're not a researcher, you need to have someone
Mm-hmm.
because it is hard to decide.
Or, yeah, even somebody that has. No, keep going.
No. Okay. One thing that also helped is if you're going to do any like courses or research, do it while you're pregnant because you got all the time in the world.
Yep.
When the baby comes, it's like you can barely shower.
Uh-huh.
So the course that Aaron and I watched together,
Oh,
that
yeah.
we only watched it in the last trimester because you'll forget everything.
Uh-huh.
Taking care of babies.
Amen, sister.
I love her. So also you'll realize once you get pregnant, it's very divisive,
Uh-huh.
whether you sleep train or co-sleep.
I know. I'm like, why is this a thing? But
I just think it's personality. Like you do you.
and also I'll go ahead and say for the record, I love sleep.
I love sleep. I'm a better mom when I have sleep. And I'm not into like, oh, cry it out. They'll figure it out. That's not what this is.
Correct.
It's very teaching, training. You technically do not even sleep train until 4 or 5 months because developmentally they can't do that.
Mhm.
But watching the course, it helped me see, oh, that's a sleepy cue.
Right.
I would have assumed everything was a hunger cue.
Right. Like, oh, here's my boob.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And it does soothe everything.
Right.
But it's maybe not what they were crying for. Like
Right.
pink eyebrows means they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved the course because it helped me realize, okay, this is the timing I'm going to feed.
Mm-hmm.
It helped us know like swaddles and passies are very helpful. They're very comforting.
And
like
the sound machines.
sound
like, all the
machines and
things.
everything, but especially even like she explains they're coming from the womb where they're very constricted and it sounds like a vacuum
Right.
cleaner. So she was like, so when they come out, swaddling them tight comforts them,
Right.
giving them sound
familiar for
machines.
them.
Yeah, it's familiar. And then a passy helps them soothe.
Mhm.
And so all that to say is like, watch that, like watch her course, whether you choose to sleep train or not,
Right.
like you can like co-sleep and still learn a lot of stuff from this.
Yep.
Also, you know what makes me think of?
What?
Do you remember the Halo bassinet?
Oh, yes. All of our children. Literally, all 4 of them.
All 4 of them. So, a bassinet is something that you put by your bed because technically you're not putting the kid into like a crib
Mm-hmm.
until they're like 4 or 5 months. Some people do it later.
Or
You-
earlier.
You do it earlier.
I did.
But there's a Halo one where it like you can kind of like push it down, you can scoop them up, you can swivel them.
Super flexible.
You can see through it because you're double checking their breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So we used the Halo bassinet, and then it was right like when Isley was going to a crib is when you had your baby.
Right.
So then you used it, and then you ping-ponged it back to me for Ekko.
Uh-huh.
Then I gave it to you for Bodhi.
Yep.
So I love that. But you know what I think is overrated?
Tell me.
This is
this a hot take?
it's a hot take.
Okay.
I think the snoo is overrated.
Oh, tell me why. I mean, our kids slept wonderfully in the Halo, but tell me why.
So a snoo is insanely expensive.
Yep.
It's like $1,000 or $1,500 bassinet that naturally swivels and rocks and moves them. And I think it works though because it is naturally moving. But I think it's almost like if you're a parent and you got like a wet wipe warmer.
Oh.
Like, yeah, it is going to feel
like,
great.
is this a bad habit? Almost.
Yeah, or like now you're used to a warm wet wipe. If you have a cold one, it's jarring, it's uncomfortable, it's not flexible.
And it's all because you care about this like little child and you want them to be as comfortable as possible.
Yes.
It's all for good intent.
And they probably, like, they do love it. But like, I've heard from my friends, like transitioning out of it is so hard because they get so comfortable and used to it.
Yeah.
And it's so expensive.
It is, yeah. I heard you can rent it. So there are ways
That's true.
to like go around
I've had friends that rent it.
Yep.
But personally, I think it's overrated.
Yep. I mean, I never used it, so.
Okay. Oh my gosh, this one. When you're pregnant, reach out to your insurance. Typically, you get a breast pump as a part of your insurance package.
You told me that.
Yes. So don't go buy one. Don't put one on your registry.
Yep.
Ask it. And even if they give you a certain amount, they'll give you like $250 towards it, and then you can choose to upgrade.
Sure.
But insurance, so buy that breast pump before you have the baby.
Yes.
Because we'll talk about this in the postpartum one. It's helpful to either bring your breast pump or at least your flanges and then have the lactation person help you.
Yes.
But sign up for your breast pump from your insurance and have it shipped in. I did the one that came with the backpack and had the little cooler. So it's not just the Rogue one. I was like, I want the one that I know is going to be like taking me places.
Well, and you were planning on going back to work straight away, so that was the best option.
Yep. So when you're pregnant, check with your insurance about which breast pumps and then order that in advance. What I also wish I knew before I was pregnant was that when you're in your third trimester, every time you sneeze, you pee a little. I remember one time, also by the end, I was just wearing Lululemon Align leggings. They're like the most comfortable ones. I would just wear them with oversized sweatshirts and t-shirts. I remember one time being in a crowded elevator. I was super pregnant. I accidentally sneezed and I just go, dang it.
Anybody in that elevator is probably like, what is happening?
I think a woman laughed, but I think no one else got it. But I was like, I just could feel it. There go my leggings.
Yeah. Gotta go wash these suckers.
Here it comes.
That's hilarious.
But when you get super pregnant, it's just everything is so like heavy there. You also get like pins and needles. Oh my! When you're trying to wake up.
Have we talked about the pregnancy cramps? Yeah. In the middle of the night, if I would stretch the wrong way or move, I would get a Charlie horse.
It's so weird.
Calf, and I would shoot up and I'd be like, oh my God. And Eric would be like, oh my gosh, is that like he thought I was going into labor, but it was just, and I'm like, pull my toe. It was just like, it was brutal.
It's so weird. And even if you're not getting up to pee all the time, you wake up a lot. And you think this is my time to sleep.
To move.
Yes.
I'm like, I have to wake up and reorient my whole
body.
body.
Use like a big pregnancy pillow. I actually never got those. I would just use another pillow in my legs, like in between. Wow. I know. I don't know how.
A simple woman.
I did it with. I just did it without. But like you're like in the middle of the night, you're waking up a lot.
Oh yeah.
Baby registry. You want to talk about our favorite gear?
Oh, okay. Wow, I got to go back. But yeah, let's talk about our favorite gear.
What I also did was I asked my friends, like, what do they like and kind of populated. I used a website called Baby List.
Yep, the best.
The best, because then you can pull from all different ones. It's not like I only register at Target.
On Amazon, right.
Exactly. Okay, my favorite gear is, first of all, the Ollie Swaddle.
So good. 10 out of 10.
It's Velcro. You just tuck them in and you Velcro. You don't have to, like,
top of the line. I love it. Let's see. I'll talk about what I hated.
What?
Everyone's like, put these Muslim swaddles on your registry, and they're bogus.
No, they're not tight enough.
I remember having like 20 of them, and I'm like, what do I do with these? This is like stupid. They would slip out, all the things. Okay, Ollie Swaddle's really good.
Sound machines. there's a lot to choose from. One of them is the hatch, which can be in the kids' room. There's also a circular one we forgot the name on, where you put it on the car seat. It like can go on there. There's also one that looks like a megaphone that you like. It's a shusher. It goes
shusher. Yeah.
And that one's a great one.
I don't like that one because the name, but
okay.
I love the Nanit. I'm a big Nanit girly. Monitor.
Baby monitor. Yes. Okay. You use the Nanit. We use the Lollipop.
Yes.
Again, these words are insane.
I know.
Lollipop was great because you can look it on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You can see if there's spikes. You can get alerts. It's really helpful.
And it's fairly mobile.
I also think this is the difference between our generation of moms and ones that are actually like 5 to 10 years ahead of us.
It's a small window, but it's like, it's crazy, right?
It's really different. The moms ahead of us would get a physical monitor.
Yes.
And they would have this monitor. Our generation, you just plug it into your phone.
Uh-huh.
And
you
use
have it on your phone. It's
anywhere.
an
Yeah.
app. Yeah.
It's really handy. I love those. Another gear I love is just a simple passy. Don't sleep on the passy.
Yeah, true.
Brittany
wasn't a big passy girly, but Bodie was.
He's a passy girly. My kids were so into the passies. It helped a lot. So much so that when I was trying to have Ekko like wean, it was before he was ready. But he's also old enough to do this where I'm like, you were ready? He would open the fridge and take out baby carrots. Oh, and just walk around with a baby carrot.
I remember that.
But passies are so helpful. We would just sprinkle them around because also, like before they're old enough to really put it there, you just want like 8 so they can.
Yes, and they're like crawling around the crib, but looking for them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. Again, a good stroller is important.
Totally.
If you're on the go a lot, Doona is amazing.
It is.
I liked the one because I would like it. They called it the farmer's market basket.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. But it's great because one, you can put a ton of gear. You can put your diaper bag and put everything in there. Or when your kid's older, it's like super funny to sit in that.
It is. I remember looking at little like Ekko's legs would be plopping out of the back or the front.
The undercarriage.
Okay.
Other gear we love. Overrated gear.
Okay.
They're called PPTPs.
Oh, yes.
Little cloth cone that some people will get you when you're changing a boy because when they're cold, by the way, you take a diaper off and they...
Which didn't happen to me very much.
Me either.
Just like a couple times. So can you imagine buying these all these products for just a couple times?
And then what are you going to do? Wash a little cone and then put it back?
So is it reusable?
The cloth ones are.
Oh.
But you can just also put a wet wipe on there or just put the diaper back down.
On. Yeah.
So overrated. But I do think the baby industry, this is maybe a side tangent. They're capitalizing. It's like the wedding industry where they're like, you need
this.
And sometimes they capitalize on fear. One time there is this, and it was actually helpful, but there was like the sock. Do you know what I'm talking about? The sock that helps oxygen?
Yes. Which is, yes. Keep going.
Yeah. And if you need it, I understand. If you are preemptively doing it, it maybe is unnecessary.
And so that monitors the oxygen rate for the baby, right?
For the baby. And it's a sock because they can't kick it off. So I actually did it for Isley.
But didn't she kick it off?
She did. I did it for Isley because one time she it was actually really scary. I was pushing her on the stroller. One time she spit up and I didn't see it and it went up her nose and she was swaddled. So when I looked down, she's kind of she was pink and blue and I had to get it out. And it was like.
That is scary to come across. You're like, oh my gosh, my child's a different color.
Exactly. So then I made the fear purchase and I got the sock.
Yep.
So I understand it, but I do think sometimes we can go overload of we need a tiny PPTP or we need this for the warming of them. We can kind of go overhaul of creating these little ecosystems that are thinking it's trying to make it comfortable, but really it's our own protection, which again, I feel like this is so much of the postpartum intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
Amygdala. We'll get to that later.
Oh, wait. Can we talk about a pair of, this is kind of backtracking a little bit, but a pair of good jammies?
Yes.
Easy to get off and on in the middle of the night. Crucial.
Zippers, not buttons.
Or even the little magnetic ones now.
Oh, yeah.
Those
Magnetics are really cool.
Amazing.
I love those.
Keep going.
Okay. Maternity leave. What I wish I knew before I got pregnant is you should look into, if you're employed, what's your employee handbook on that? Oh. If it's your spouse, what is their paternity leave? Yep. Do you switch it? I feel like in California, there was family leave that you had to. It was very confusing because you had to apply for 2 things. One is disability before kid, another is family leave after. It's up to 60% of your income.
Yep.
But the website, California EDD, is really confusing.
Really confusing. Super clunky.
You can't get anyone on the phone.
Nope. I've tried.
I one time tried for 2 weeks every day.
Yep.
Just trying to get someone on the phone.
Yeah.
And once I did, they were actually really helpful.
Yeah.
But you just can't get them. And you have to do this like press 9 for this, press 8. And so I had like the pattern memorized. I was
So you're like 9, 8, 7.
9, 8, 7, 4, 1, 2. Like it's annoying. But all that to say is maternity leave, have those discussions as early as possible of how long do I want to take? Do we both want to take time? Do you want to do yours later in the year? Because that's another thing. That's what Eric did of like, you don't both have to do all your paternity, maternity right up front.
Right.
What did he do?
I'm like, what do you want me to say? No, for Eric, I think he took 2 weeks off up front. And then, no, maybe he took a month off up front. And then in the summer, when Bodhi was a little bit older, he took another month off. So it was so nice because Bodhi was not this like little tiny baby that was like just a blob. But he was, sitting up and having a bit more fun. So it was just it was nice to like separate the paternity leave that way.
I think it's also great where some people, they'll do like the woman's maternity leave, and then when if she chooses to go back to work, then that's when the paternity leave starts.
Yeah.
So it's also like an extension. You can kind of like pick and choose that.
Oh, nice.
But do you want to do some popcorn listener questions to end?
Sure.
Okay, rapid fire. What was your high-low for both of your pregnancies?
High for Rooney was that I was pregnant.
Yes.
Literally. That this was an absolute gift from God that I was pregnant with my first kid. Can that count?
Yes.
Low, I remember just being holding her after we came home from the hospital and like weeping because I was like, why wasn't my first thing to do was to like thank Jesus for her? It wasn't my first thing. And I'm like, why not? So I remember just crying, holding her, being like, you are such a gift. I love her.
She is such a gift.
You might have to go.
Okay. You wanted her so bad. I think my high with Isley, I mean, it's the same. It's just like, oh my gosh, I get to be pregnant. Like I get this honor of getting to be pregnant. And it was just so exciting. I think my low was so much of the uncertainty about her health. It was just really daunting I do think my kind of arc of a lesson throughout that whole thing was like to hold it loosely and to know that I can't control, because I couldn't control anything about the pregnancy, about the delivery, anything. It felt very much so out. So, which is probably a lesson I needed to work through and learn in such a dramatic way. Because it was that big. I think Ekko, my high, was that it was a boy. We got to talk about gender too as the next question. I really wanted a boy. And then I think my low, it's going to sound like I didn't have a low, but I'm like, his was just so different, right? So different. I think the low was, since I didn't have any restrictions on my diet, I was like, I'm going balls to the wall. Yeah. And so I think by the end, I was uncomfortable. Yep. Because.
And you had a full term.
So I think for that, it was just, I remember I had a 2-year-old, so I was taking Isley to the zoo. And I was super pregnant. And I was like, I walked up, it was in LA, it was one of the hills. And I was like, nope.
Yep. We're done here.
I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to walk around here super pregnant. I just remember being like, oh, I don't feel good in my body. And it wasn't like, oh, I felt terrible, but I just was like, I can't walk normal places. I can't carry normal things. I just think the low was how difficult it is to just navigate the world when you're so pregnant.
I mean, that's so my high and low with Bodhi is kind of the same thing. It's that I have this amazing toddler that I'm like, you're incredible. And now I get to look at the world through her, through her perspective. That's a high, right? But on the inverse, I have this toddler and I'm pregnant.
Yes.
So hard. I'm like,
hard.
I have no energy. I can't. How do we do this together? And so it's kind of like a mixed bag of you are my high and my low at the same time. So I don't know.
Yeah. You don't get to nap when you need to and rest.
Like, oh, you are somebody I have to take care of
It's
while
so
I'm trying
true.
to take care of myself too.
And neither of us actually had bad morning sickness.
Yeah.
But that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, I meant like in the,
Yeah.
you didn't have to like take stuff.
No. Didn't have to take stuff. And I actually never threw up. I just, it's that weird feeling.
The weird nausea is kind of crazy, but we've
Uh-huh.
had friends where eventually it gets to the place. So they wait to the last second
Yes.
to give you like Zofran.
Yes.
But like it can be so
oh
debilitating.
my gosh.
I had friends that was like throwing up. They sometimes lose weight in the first
Yes.
trimester because you're throwing up so much.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, the gender disappointment one.
I know.
I think it's tricky because like, looking back, it's like hindsight. But I'll be honest, when we went into, by the way, the first pregnancy, we waited till 20 weeks for the scan because you can do it via a blood test at 10 weeks, but it's not covered by insurance and it costs like $200. And I was like, I'm not going to spend $200.
Yeah.
And by the week 20, I was like, we should have spent the $200. This
I'm
is
dying
like
to know.
taking
Yeah.
forever. So we waited for the scan.
Mhm.
And when they scanned it and they said it was a girl, like Aaron like leaned back, he put his hands back, like he's just made to be a girl dad. He was
Yeah.
so ready. And I was in shock.
Really?
I guess so. I was a huge tomboy growing up.
Same.
And I had a mixed bag of like girl and guy friends, but I was always like doing boy things. Like I wanted to be on the boys baseball team
Right.
because it was more fun.
Right.
I wanted to play drums. Like
Yeah.
I just did more masculine things myself. And so it lended itself to like those kind of friendships. And so I was like, I was never the dress up girl. I was never like my little sister would put socks on her hands and say they were princess gloves.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I had one Barbie and I cut her hair off. Like
Exactly.
yeah, she was a goner.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I cut my Barbie's hair off.
Yeah.
It was like very like not my thing. And so I think I just felt like if boys mentally to me felt like a big open field. Like
Yeah.
I can do this. I
Right.
get it.
Go
It's-
run and be free.
Go run, clear skies.
Mhm.
Having a girl felt like a deep forest. And it felt like I don't know how to navigate it.
wow.
I don't even identify with the super feminine aspect of things. So I like, and it took a while to set in.
So you said girl was deep forest and boy was
open field.
I love that.
And so it felt like, it just feels different, like different ways to navigate.
Yeah.
And so I remember calling my mom like 2 or 3 days later and I like sobbed and I was like, I don't know what to do if it's a girl. I was like, a lot of my experience with girls, it's like highs and lows, which is totally fine. A lot of my friends, I'll like do a phone call, but then I hang up the phone.
Right.
I was like, if it's a daughter, I can't do that.
Oh, right.
I was like, I don't know if I have the energy and the emotional capacity to do this.
Yes.
I was like, it just feels like it's gonna like be really, really
That's
difficult.
something really, really profound there. Like something that I didn't know before I was pregnant was you have to navigate and teach these young children how to become a person.
Yeah.
And that is like incredibly daunting.
It is because they're gonna have their own personalities too.
And so then it's like, how do I be the best mom so that you can be the best kid?
And that's a little bit what my mom said. She said, because I had named her at this point, she goes, you don't know Isley yet. She was like, you don't know what she's going to be like.
Yeah.
She's like, she might be like that. She might not. She was like, but you get the gift of growing with her.
I love that.
She was like, you don't have to parent her as an 8-year-old right now.
Right.
You
You'll
have to-
get there.
Yeah, you have to parent her as a baby. And as she grows, you'll get to know her and you'll learn alongside her. And then she also said, and also, you have a very equal partner in Aaron. She was like, you don't have to do it solo. You get to tap out and have him step in too.
When you need it, yeah.
She was like, it's not all on you. She goes, he was made for this. You were made for this. And you have a partner who can help too. And that kind of gave me a sense of like, okay, it's not just girl, boy. This is Isley now.
Eric and I have this saying that we tell Rooney all the time. And Bodhi, but mostly Rooney. We look at her dead in the eyes and we say, you're exactly what this family needs. Which is always a good reminder for me too, because I'm like, I'm the mom that like God gave me you. And so it's like this really beautiful swirly bag of like, oh my gosh, we are exactly what each other needs, which is really quite beautiful.
I love that. And I totally resonate because I also look back and I'm like, maybe it would have felt more familiar to do a boy, but this one feels like an adventure. This one feels like navigating new territory.
Right.
This one also feels like, oh, wow. Like what a left turn in my life.
Right.
In such a cool way of I'm getting to know her. And she is a different personality than me in such a cool way, in the way that I'm like, oh, wow. Like what a different experience of life that I wouldn't have had. And so that's also like, at first I was a little like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I do feel like I'm learning little by little and I'm seeing value in ways that not, like maybe it would have been more like quote unquote natural for me.
Sure.
But then I also see like hindsight of she sets the tone in our home. Like she sets the tone as an older sibling of like, she's really kind and really nurturing.
Yeah.
And my son responds to that. Like he is more kind and he is more nurturing, where I do think if I had a boy first, it's similar to how I grew up. My brother, like, is a little rough and tumble.
Right.
It's
You got to hold your own.
Yeah, it's a little feral. It's a little like, this is like an intensity. And then the siblings come under that. But I'm like, oh, it's so cool to have a girl first.
Yeah.
Like she sets this really cool tone for our unique family of like, oh, like she's openly sharing and caring and nurturing and kind. And my son, who if he came first, I've seen his personality.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the tone.
Right. Well, I mean, we're sort of similar where I'm like, I feel like Ekko and Rooney have, this like, they're brutes.
Yeah.
Like they're just like determined and they're like, I'm going to do it this way. And so I'm like listening to your story, your dynamics, and I'm like, oh, what's that like?
It's so different.
Yeah.
It is so different because like the younger one is taking cues from the older one.
I'm like, you're right in the sense that older sib is definitely setting the tone.
Yes.
And now Bodhi's getting old enough to where it's like, he's like, oh, I can fight back.
Yes.
And so it's like it's totally different like household dynamics, but it is the same like, okay, Bodhi's like, if I'm going to like hold my own here, this is how I have to do it.
Which again, Bodhi and Isley being similar is actually great because Ekko coming along taught Isley to have a voice. Where before if she was playing with friends, it would be a little more like
challenging.
passive. Yeah. But with Ekko, like she had to say like, that's my toy, or like, please
or
don't
this is
take
my space.
that. Or where him challenging her is great for her.
Right.
Like it's actually really, really good she has a sibling like that because it's made her advocate for herself, made her find more of her voice.
I love that. I really love that.
But gender disappointment can be real and it's really tough.
Yeah.
We have enough friends that have like multiple boys.
And then, they got their girl. I'm like, whew, they went for 4.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you imagine?
But some people try for 2, 3, 4 to switch the gender and it doesn't happen.
Right, exactly.
That one's tough too, where you're like, okay, do we keep going and get a 5th child?
We were always going to be done at 2, but it was like such a nice, like kind of packaged, bow on top when we had a girl and a boy.
It's true. If we had 2 girls, I think I would have a question mark.
Ooh.
I wonder.
I know. Or what would this boy be like in our family?
Exactly.
Or what would this girl, vice versa.
Oh, I think we covered the gamut.
Yes.
I feel like we did our stories. We did popcorn.
Yep.
I think the main thing of like pregnancy is your body's foreign. Your mind's foreign. The words in like the zeitgeist about it are really foreign.
Yep, buckle up.
But ultimately, like everything is kind of new, and especially your first one. And just hold on. Like there's no way you can really be prepared. You can hear all this, and maybe it's helpful. So when it happens to you, you're like, oh, maybe that's what that was. But when it happens to you, you're still going to be overwhelmed.
Oh yeah. So in conclusion, getting pregnant is hard. Staying pregnant is hard. The whole journey of pregnancy is incredibly hard, but on the other side of that is a true miracle, and just the greatest gift of all time.
I love it. Well, we're going to go and just take a little reset, and then we're going to film another episode right now, and it'll be released in 2 weeks, but it's what I wish I knew before I was postpartum. which is a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, we tapped on it gently
Here and there.
but it is different. It's called the 4th trimester for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for that. Thank you for listening. You can like, subscribe, follow at Haven the Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and TikTok. I think that's everywhere I am. Maybe I've got some other rogue things. There's like a Google one out there somewhere.
really?
Yeah. I don't know, some other kind of things. However you're listening to it, I'm glad you're listening. But we will see you on the next episode.